Your Success Stories series. Can you please tell my viewers who you are?
My name is Linda Green. I am an obstetrician gynecologist. I've been practicing in Coral Springs for, I'm not going to say the number, since 1991.
Okay.
When I had my son. My son was born here in 1991. And so I deliver babies. I do gynecologic surgery. I take care of women. Hopefully I empower women. That's my goal.
Okay. So tell me about your journey. Tell me about your formal education. How did you get here?
Turn off the phone. So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in the hood, in Bedford-Stuyvesant. The daughter of a single mother. My dad died when I was 4, unfortunately. I was the baby of 6, and the only one actually who finished high school.
Oh, wow.
And I was blessed enough to, and also because I was fearful that my mom would also pass, I had decided when I was young, I'd say 14 or 15, that I wanted to be a physician. So I went to my college counselor and said I'd like to be a physician as quickly as possible, in case something happened, And so they pointed me in the direction of medical education programs.
Okay.
You can tell I'm from New York because I talk with my hands. And so I ended up applying to like Boston. BU had a 6-year medical education program. Rensselaer, Brown had one. City University of New York had one. And so I was accepted to all but Rensselaer, which was too bad because the ratio of men to women there was 9-1. That was really a fun trip. And so I got into Brown. At the time, I did not even realize Brown was an Ivy League school because I was simply trying to get done. And I really wanted to go to City University of New York because it was right in Harlem, and I wasn't from New York. But long story short, my mom would let me go to Harlem because I was 16. And I went off to Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, and I went through the medical education program. And at 24, I graduated. And I then went to residency in Oakland, California. And then I subsequently came here and started practice.
Okay, so when you just talked about residency, how long is that time period of having to be a resident?
Okay, so medical education goes quickly, even though it sounds like a long time, young people. And you have 4 years of undergraduate education, college. Then you have 4 years of medical school, and then you have 4 to 5 to 6 years, depending on what your specialty is.
Okay.
Since my specialty is obstetrics and gynecology, that tends to be a 4-year residency.
Okay.
If you're going to be a general surgeon, that's a 5-year residency. If you're going to be a neurosurgeon, that's a 6-year residency.
Okay.
Now the key is you're getting paid during that time.
Okay.
So you have a job. So you're a resident, meaning that it's called residency because you spend your life, you live at the hospital. That's your residence. You do go home, but it seems like you live there. But you do get paid. Like, my son is just finished medical school, and payment now, so they start at like $50-something thousand. When I started, and his dad started, who's also a physician, it was like $25,000. But that was in the 90s, early 90s.
Okay.
So that's the path. So you really only have 4 years after college that you don't make any money, which is in medical school.
Okay.
And after that, you're making, a living. And you don't have time to spend it, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. So did you, I know you spoke of your mom being your incentive to become a physician. Did you have a mentor or someone who you looked up to that was a physician?
No. My mother was a operator in a hospital, in Kings County Hospital. And so she would be the one who would be overhead paging the doctors and finding everyone. When you're growing up as a little black girl in Brooklyn in the 70s, you don't know any doctors, you don't know any lawyers, you don't know any Indian chiefs. But luckily, our kids these days have access to all of us.
Right.
And that's huge because it makes you realize that if we could do it, you can do it.
Right.
We're not any smarter. And I remember one thing that was really important to me, a big day for me, was when I went to Brown and they said, look right, look left. At the end of these 3 years, one of these people won't be here. And I remember saying to myself, that will not be me. So it's a choice because it's not like one of these people was less smart.
Right.
It's all about effort. It's all about grit. It's all about determination. So my mentor was actually my science teacher,
Mm-hmm.
a older white gentleman who was telling me his story, drawing. It's so funny because I wonder to this day whether or not I'm an obstetrician because of him. But for half of the semester, he had the whole maternal fetal unit in beautiful colors on the board. He was also an artist.
Okay.
So every day we would come in, we see this baby inside of the membranes, placenta, and all that. But he was saying how he could not go to medical school despite his desire because his dad had died in the military, and he had to become a teacher so he could take care of help the family.
Okay.
So I know that's why I went and said, oh my God, that could happen to me easily. I'm in a fragile ecosystem, and so I need to become a doctor quickly. And so that's why I had the forethought to apply to these programs. Or I would have never gone to an Ivy League institution because I wasn't looking to go to one.
Right.
And my counselor at the time didn't even let me know that I was, Ivy League material. I have a very similar story to Michelle Obama when she said she went to her college counselor and they told her, you're not Ivy League material, right? And she went to Princeton, and then she went to Harvard. And so they had me have a safe school of Queens College. Queens College was like the lowest of the low, right? So they had me reaching very low. The only reason I even saw higher was because I was reaching for something else.
Okay.
And so I would say that to you guys, that you have to set your goals. Don't believe people. Just like Michelle Obama, she decided to go to Princeton to prove something, but you have to go just because you realize that you're capable,
Right.
you're able, and don't let people tell you that you're not.
Thank you. So we see you are female and you are African American. Did you have a lot of challenges becoming a physician because you are a woman and because you are a woman of color?
I have to be honest with you. I'm going to honestly say to you, I don't know.
Okay.
I realized how oblivious I was to others and other people's ideas and attitudes by one of my co-residents. My co-resident in California at Kaiser was just like, nothing phases you. Like, no matter what they do, I just did not let bumps in the road faze me. I did not take it personally. I just kept moving forward. And, there's some things, it's so funny, the things that stick in your mind. One thing that stuck in my mind, number one, was the nurses, when I would be on the units doing my residency, would say, it wasn't all black women, they would say, we're not ever going to a woman gynecologist.
Really?
It's hard to believe that we existed in these times. But when I was coming through residency, there were not female OBGYNs.
Interesting.
Because we are surgeons. So there were no female surgeons. So you don't even remember that. You're too young to remember that. So these young people certainly do not. Now greater than 50% of OBGYNs are women. Because women finally started realizing that we're going to be a little bit better at least diagnosing and treating organs that we share.
And you would think that we would feel more comfortable with a woman in our lady parts. Because
you think a lot of things. Look at the political situation we're in today. You can't think. You just got to look at what people do.
You're right.
So what people used to do is they would only go to men because they didn't trust women to do surgery. Half of my practice is gynecology. Half of obstetrics is, or at least a third, is doing C-sections for babies. And so only men were entrusted with that great responsibility until recently in our history. So it wasn't I was black or white, it was that I was a woman. When I went into the operating room as a black woman sometimes, of course there's always surprise that I wasn't the cleaning lady, I wasn't the nurse, that I was actually the doctor. But I have to say, on a whole, my patients have been refreshingly wonderful. And I think that is because people will deal with you as you deal with them.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm sure a lot of them said, oh, you know how we get, oh, I'm sure she's the exception. So that's okay. You accept it graciously. I'll be the exception today.
Okay. And what I failed to mention at the beginning of the interview is that Dr. Green probably knows me a little bit, not a little bit, more than all of my other participants in the Summer Success Story series, because she actually delivered RJ. She was my physician for my pregnancy. So she knows me better in these lady parts. Better than anybody else.
I know her inside out, and she's beautiful.
Literally inside and out. So, I stress to my clients and my viewers a lot the need to network when they start their job search strategy. What does networking in a job search strategy look like? Someone who wants to become a physician, or not even just a physician, someone in the medical field. What does that job search or networking scheme look like?
I can give you a good example. The last 2 physicians I hired knocked on my door and said, the first one was, my sister's comes to you. You delivered her baby. I'm ready to work. Are you looking for a doctor? I hired her. I worked with her for 15 years. The next came to me. She was a candy striper across the street at Coral Springs Medical Center, probably when I started practice there 29 years ago. And she said, I'm interviewing. I hear a lot about you. I didn't look for her. She came looking for me. And are you interviewing? I hired her. She's been working here for 2 years. That's the power of networking. That wasn't even professional networking. That was just using their brain.
Right.
And using their family connections.
Right.
Their cousin who was taken care of by me, the sister that was taken care of by me, and reaching out and believing that if you put yourself out there, if you take a risk, that it will be fruitful.
Right.
And now that was just my anecdotal experiences, but networking looks like actually paying attention when people give you their cards, taking a picture of it for you guys, writing it down, writing a little message to remember where they are. I have a little cheat sheet under here where I write a lot of notes of people that I want to remember, because I see a lot of patients every day. So, I need to get a roof, or I need to get a dentist, or I need to hire, a front desk person. You have to have your Rolodex, your personal Rolodex that is going to help you get a job, be connected, know people that you can reach out to, and that you can build upon.
What's the most rewarding part of having your own practice?
That's interesting. The most rewarding part of having my own practice, there's so many questions, variants of that question. The most rewarding part is caring for patients. That doesn't have to do with having my own practice, but that has to be at the top of the list. That being able to see people feel empowered, relieved, trustful, not so scared as they were when they walked through my door, reassured. That gives you a lot of, good stuff.
Okay.
That keeps you going. That's wonderful. A lot of fun is delivering babies, of course. And, rewarding part of the practice, of course I like control. I'm a surgeon. So, I can't get away with it. I try to act like that's not the case, but it's nice to control your own destiny. It's nice to say, I'm going to take that insurance even though it doesn't pay much money because I want to care for that population of patients. It's just nice to say, I'm going to take this, this ability to spend this 30 minutes with this lady who just lost her mom. And, say, I'm sorry, I can't see you today, Tequesta, you're going to have to come back later today or tomorrow because this lady needs my time. And I don't have someone like at Cleveland Clinic saying every 15 minutes you have to see people.
Okay.
So it's very powerful to be able to, control your own destiny.
Okay. So we've talked about the shiny parts of it.
Yes.
So being a physician and having your own practice, I'm sure when viewers hear that, they think of all of the glitz and the glamour.
Yes.
What don't they see that it's really challenging to be a physician and have a practice?
Yeah. What they don't see is that there's a lot of different things that you have to accomplish. There's a lot of multitasking. There's a lot of things. For example, today, like my day today. So I get texts from the hospital, oh, you have these charts that have to finish by tonight that you have to sign off on because the meeting tonight is at 6 o'clock. You have to make sure those charts are signed off on or you have a problem. So medical records is always an issue. You come in the morning and your nurse is sick and you have 20 patients on the schedule.
Okay.
What do you do?
And people don't think about that.
People are sick.
Nurses call out too.
Yeah, nurses call out. you know, your front desk calls out, your power goes off, and you have to tell 20 patients it's a problem. I don't own this building, so I don't have a generator. There's all the day-to-day. The toilet stops up. Your billing system goes down, but you still have to pay 20 people. There are so many things. You order some supplies, like you order IUDs or something to put in someone that you scheduled 2 months ago. They don't show up. You know what I mean? It's just, there's a million things that have to all come together, like kismet, in order to have life go perfectly for you when you walk through my door. Or you have a surgery that is supposed to be an hour that turns out to be 5 hours, and now you have 10 patients that you have to move, and you're leaving in 2 days to go on a trip you planned for 2 months.
Right. Okay.
It's just, it goes on and on. I could continue.
So my favorite part of the Summer Success Stories series is talking about the advice.
Yes.
What advice would you give to a young adult who wants to become a physician or who's interested in the medical field? What advice would you give them, and what advice do you wish that someone would have given you when you were on your journey?
Number one, I'll tell you that if you're serious about it, that you can do it. You can do anything you set your mind to. However, there are going to be challenges. There are challenges if you become a janitor. Right? No matter what we do in life, life is full of challenges. Sometimes I think God puts them in our way so that we can build character. So there are going to be challenges. So what? So you just have to, as I was saying to you that I did, you have to just go over the speed bumps. You have to go, wow, that was a high speed bump, wasn't it? And you have to observe it, but don't let it impact you. What I really wish someone had told me was simply that you can do it. That just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and the time is going to fly, and you're going to be at the top of the hill and not even realize how many steps you took to get there. And that's what I would say to you guys, that so what, it's hard. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and trust God. There's so many days I say to God, wow, I don't know how you're going to do this today, God. I can't wait to see how you accomplish all these things are on my plate. And I get to the end of the day and I'm like, good job, God. And I don't say good job, Linda. I say, thank you, God.
You did it.
Because I know, you can do all things through He that strengthens you. And He's in you. So what is it that you can't do? Nothing.
All right. I love those words of advice. Thank you so much for being a participant in the Summer Success Stories series, and I appreciate your time, and thank you again.
Thank you.